Hello and welcome to Oncology.TV News. I'm Steve Highsmith. We focus now on the 2011 National Surgical Adjuvant Breast and Bowel Project Cooperative Group Meeting, or NSABP, where Oncology.TV is providing coverage. We have the pleasure to speak with Dr. Bruce Boman regarding the Protocol P-5, the Statin Polyp prevention trial in patients with resected colon cancer. Dr. Boman, thank you for taking the time to discuss this trial.
Thanks, Steve. It's great to be here today to tell you about the NSABP P-5 colon cancer prevention trial.
How will the trial impact patients long term?
Well, the importance of this trial is it's a cancer prevention trial, and my mantra is that cancer prevention is the cure. So this is a trial to test the efficacy of a statin, rosuvastatin, for the protection against the development of colonic tumors. The patient population that's eligible is the colon cancer patient population with early stage colon cancer, stage 1 and stage 2, who have been surgically treated for cure. Now, this patient population is at a very high risk for recurrent colon tumors, namely adenomatous polyps. So this is a high risk population that has a 50% risk of developing a new colonic tumor, namely an adenomatous polyp, which is a premalignant lesion in the colon. So the benefit to these patients is that taking a chemopreventive agent theoretically can reduce their risk for developing a new colon tumor, and in that setting would prevent the colon cancers from developing. Obviously, there are risks associated with taking any drug, but since these individuals are at such high risk for developing a new colon tumor, we feel that the risk from taking a drug certainly is less than the risk for developing a new colon tumor, so that the benefit-risk ratio is going to be favorable. Now, the rationale behind this trial is that there have been a number of epidemiologic observational studies that have shown that statins have protective effects in preventing colon cancer and reducing risk from colon cancer development. However, most of these trials have been observational studies, and they've not been designed to test the development of cancer or colon tumors as a primary endpoint. These studies have mainly involved patients who are being studied for cardioprotective effects from statins. These studies haven't been designed to test prevention of cancers. They've been designed to test the lipid-lowering effects of statins. They are also designed to test the effect of statins over the short term, usually less than 5 years. And we know that cancers take many years to develop, so that these studies aren't primarily designed to test protection against cancer.
Given what work you've done so far, how long until we see results from this trial?
Well, this is a 5-year trial, and patients will be randomized to take rosuvastatin for 5 years or a placebo. So the trial itself is 5 years plus the time for enrollment of patients. So I assume that the final results from this trial will be out in about 10 years. So we have our work cut out for us at this point.
What is needed from a trial perspective to test these results?
So what's really needed is a properly designed prospective study to test the effects of statins against colorectal cancer development. And this is the reason we designed the P-5 trial, because it's a properly designed study to test the efficacy of this particular drug.
How can physicians enroll patients who are eligible for the trial?
Well, when a physician determines that a patient may be eligible for the trial, they should work with the they should work with the clinical trial office at their particular institution, namely the protocol nurses and the other staff in the clinical trials office. So it's the clinical trials office that's the it's the clinical trials office that's the important point for entry of patients and determining eligibility and enrolling patients on trials.
And how many patients are you enrolling in this trial?
We are targeting approximately 1,740 patients for entry in the trial. The trial began about a year ago, and there are over 200 institutions that have IRB approval to participate in the trial nationwide. This is the only cancer prevention trial that's currently being conducted at the national level.
And doctor, when did the trial start?
The trial started about a year ago after approval from the National Cancer Institute and the Federal Drug Administration. So this trial is being conducted under the auspices of the National Cancer Institute.
Does it appear that prevention trials are a priority for NSABP?
Well, this trial is being conducted through the National Surgical Adjuvant Breast and Bowel Project, which in my opinion is the premier cooperative group for doing prevention trials. They previously conducted the prevention trials for breast cancer, and those trials have been very fruitful in terms of preventing cancer in women who are at high risk for breast cancer.
Are there any eligibility issues physicians need to be aware of for this trial?
One of the issues in this trial is that patients who have early stage colon cancer who are eligible for the trial cannot be currently taking statins. So we know that statin use will be prohibitive in the enrollment in these patients on this trial. We know that many people across the United States take statins, which stresses that these particular drugs have low toxicity and are widely used throughout the country, which I think provides a rationale for testing this particular drug in the chemopreventive setting.
Is there a time frame for patients who are on statin therapy that can have a washout period and be eligible for this study?
Patients who need to be on a drug for their lipid-lowering effects are not eligible for the trial, so that if a patient is currently taking a statin, they cannot stop taking the statin and then become eligible for the trial, because they would need to be on a drug to keep their lipid levels low.
Dr. Boman, thank you for taking the time to present information on the P-5 trial.
Thank you, Steve, for the opportunity to present this trial.
I'm Steve Highsmith. Be sure to watch more video coverage from NSABP 2011 right here on OncoView.tv.